Hey, welcome, old friends and new friends. I'm Jen, and we're going to talk tonight about truth and about connecting with our own uniqueness. Um, and maybe it will be a long, winding road there, and maybe it will be a short one. We'll see where some of this takes us. But as I create different offerings out into the world, I think there have been moments. I'll say this first. We're in a world where we are not lacking for knowledge. We are lacking for wisdom, but we are not lacking for knowledge. It is at our fingertips 24/7 if we should choose to seek that. And in this whole invitation tonight will just really be to your own curiosity. And as I grow older and hopefully become a little wiser, um, there have been moments where something that I thought was my truth, definitely is not that today. And I can probably guarantee that 10 years from now, when I look back again and again, that this is likely always something that's always shifting and changing. But then additionally, I think there are some core knowings and that felt sense of how we even can know, does this feel like true to me? And so hopefully we can gain a little bit of clarity on that in the next maybe 30 minutes or so. And maybe not, maybe we just have a really good reflection and learning some of the language of our body. So the first invitation, let's just settle. It's been a long day. I didn't know this was the first day of school when I picked this date. So I applaud everyone here and after watching. So if you have the ability, just even shut down other tabs, flip your other devices upside down, and just really give yourself a gift of this presence for a few moments. And find something, if you're in a chair or on the ground or against a tree, but find something that you know is solid and something that you can trust with the weight of your body. So just begin to lean into that object. And most definitely loosen anything feeling tight or restrictive. If you don't like how something is laying on your skin, you're going to feel it everywhere. So just give yourself, how do I want my seat to be? Maybe you need to Thanksgiving unbutton that top button. Maybe you need to just find some loosening around your body. And whether you're choosing to have eyes open and soft or closed, see if you can let the muscles of your eyes relax. And even feel some of the weight. Imagine there's a line going through your eyes towards the back of your head. Just let some of the weight of your eyes move deeper into the sockets. Because just like that tightness of clothing that could be felt everywhere, softness can also be felt everywhere. Soften your tongue, letting it drop into that cave of your mouth. Maybe even see if you can soften the weight of your brain and your skull. That constant pulling of gravity on your brain. With your soft eyes and soft tongue and soft resting brain, just begin to notice the cadence and the rhythm of your breathing. There's no need to change any of it. It might be fast or slow or shallow or deep. Noticing is just more than enough. Often we feel like to be a good student, we have to get it right. And we begin to turn our attention to make things better. So we're just noticing. You might even take a few longer sighs or louder sighs or quick, more staccato, sharp kind of breaths. Anything that feels good here. Yeah. Mm. And your lungs are big, a lot bigger than what we even give them credit for. So just even see if you can tune into the length. This might even be helpful if you feel comfortable with it, just even putting your hands running the length of your rib cage, noticing the length that you have, noticing the width that you have. And as you breathe in, feel how you can weave some breath in between those ribs, allowing it to expand and widen. And you may even be able to guide some breath to your back, to your sides. Mm. Knowing that the breath can widen at the bottom of the ribs, the middle of the lungs, up around the heart, the tops of the lungs, under your clavicles. Mhm. At the top of that next inhale, just see if you can hold a little pause and notice this liminal space, this space of nothing, just nothing and everything at the same time. And whenever your body is ready, the exhale will come. It requires no force, just letting go. Just let go. Mm, yeah. If there's anywhere else in your body that you just want to pat or touch or just even make some contact with, go ahead and just honor that. Listen to that little tiny whisper. Mm, mm, mm. And whenever you're ready, you can just blink your eyes open, maybe look around your space. You've been there many times before, but you're just looking now, observing, maybe even noticing what feels pleasing. Mm. And coming back around to the body, and then just, yeah, sitting yourself in an easy way. Mm. And I'll just leave some room here. If you would like to share, you can drop it in the chat or you can just shout it out. But just anything that you noticed, anything of what that experience might have been like for you. Mhm. Mhm. And I can share for myself, it kind of felt like maybe just a bit of permission, I think might be the word that I'm looking for. Yeah. Oops, I got you muted, Perry. Do you want to be unmuted? Oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, for me, I would just say, I think, especially with the full moon energy right now, that like everything's felt pretty heightened.
Mm.
And there was just like a touchdown, a deepening, a sense of integration just in that short period of time, just being able to tune in and just actually, I don't know, just felt like I was inhabiting my body definitely more compared to the rest of the day.
I love
So
this
felt
moment.
really good.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for, yeah, for me, I feel like even though I do this often, sometimes I still just need some permission from myself, or I don't know who it's really from, I guess, but of just to be with that heightened energy, be with that low energy, just being with what is here in that present moment. Yeah. And tomorrow it might be something else. Yeah. So, okay, when we're talking about truth, I'd like to come at this from the angle and the perspective of the body, because everybody has their own their absolute own beliefs and definitions, and again, those are kind of always changing. And especially in our country right now, people are like, I'm in my truth, and they're like at it and all these things. So I would love to, I would not love to, I will share that until the end. I don't want to give any preconceived ideas. I want you to be very curious and explore these ideas on your own. So the first thought when we're talking about working with the body, Tracy Stanley, one of my teachers I've worked with, she calls somatic work a remembering. And there's a lot of talk, and everybody's becoming an expert and trained, and these are wonderful, beautiful tools to have. But I want to keep it just that simple in that word tonight. It's a remembering. These are things that we already know, and if we don't, we kind of begin to get curious and build on it. So this idea of I can feel what's happening in my body. I currently have a feeling. How might I give this some attention, or how might I make it more whole? These are kind of basic somatic experiencing questions and principles that you exercise over and over again. So even the idea of what is available to be felt today or in this moment, because sometimes we just don't even, we can have a thing and the old patterns creep in, and that's great. And they're there to serve a purpose. Um, but how can I be with what's present exactly in this moment? And so I think when we can go that next underneath of how do I know? How do I know? Let's just start there. So let's just start with something silly and non-important, but also important, something like chocolate. How do I know that I want that chocolate? Or even simpler, choosing physically in your body right now, how do I know that this is how I want to sit? So just check in with yourself like that. How do I know this is even how or where I want to sit? And if you want to put it in the chat or answer, please do. If not, we're just kind of building these reflections. Is there a space or a home within you that says, oh yeah, I know? And maybe it's here, maybe it's knowledge, maybe it's lower, maybe it's something closer towards wisdom. How do I know? And it's okay right now if you don't know. If this is a foreign concept to you, that's okay. My beloved husband asked what I was talking about tonight, and he looked at me like, I was insane. And he said, I don't know what that means. And that's okay. And now he can think about what truth feels like in his body too, just like it will for you. Mm. And so sometimes we just know based on experimenting. What if I shifted my position of how I'm seated? Or that little impulse that tells us, hmm, I wonder if I just blank. I wonder what would happen. And then here's where the fun part begins of um maybe some of us have been told don't make good choices. Maybe some of us have always been redirected from making our own choices. On and on and on of the little stories that accumulate to break us away from that knowing, from that trust, from that remembering. And so I think just we hear it. We can even get to the step where we can acknowledge it, but then we're like, shut the F up. I'm not connecting with it or moving through with it. Does this feel maybe a little familiar of how we start to break away from trust, how we break away from truth? And so I'd like to just, before we get to the body part, we'll just visit the mind because the mind wants to organize us always. And so we'll just do a little thinking here. If you have paper handy, just a little evaluation of some thoughts. And we don't want to do the biggest, meanest, hardest, most traumatic thought. Okay, we want to keep this for practice really simple, and then we work the rest out on our own or with a trusted listener. So we want to work with some type of belief. Maybe it's something like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not gonna pass this test, or I'm not going to get this raise, or whatever the thing. Okay, so something that the busy mind keeps repeating in this kind of repetitive thought. And so the first thing, we just want to kind of greet it like, oh, hey, you're here again, inner roommate. Good to see you. And we can even examine it just a little bit. Like, what is this? What's happening? Whose voice is this in? Who told me that? Why do I believe this? Mm. I love asking questions, so we could ask more and more. But for just this one instance, we'll move to this, I think, important part that helps us pull away from some of this belief in the brain of, okay, we're grown-ass women, and there is some point of responsibility. And so we can really speak some truth here to ourselves. For instance, if we were students and taking a test, well, I haven't studied at all, and I'm probably going to fail this test. Well, maybe, right? And so where's my own ownership and responsibility in this? Yep, I probably should have studied, or I could have given this more attention. But then we can also start to go, gosh, that isn't in my voice. This isn't something I actually believe. This is something someone told me. Hmm. And then what do we want to do with it when we start to pull this apart? Where's the truth and where's the lie? Hmm. And then can we just release it? Also, knowing we might have to revisit this again, might come up a few more times, and working this process. Okay, I don't really need this right now. And I'm not the one who actually said that. Autopilot can remind us, actually, I'm not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. Yeah. Hmm. Anybody want to say anything about this process? Just these steps. I'm going to greet it. I'm going to examine it. I'm going to speak truth. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to revisit it every single time it comes back up until this softens a little. Yeah. Okay. So from the brain to the body, back to that, how do I know? There's a word in Sanskrit, swasta. So if we're talking about this idea of masculine and feminine working together, the image of the rod and the snake, like on Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, get the image? Okay. So, mm, means I'm rooted in myself firmly. Mm. And so to come to your body, it could be a gesture like this. It could be anything that a gesture, an image, a word, a sensation. Tell me about your knowing. Tell me, how does truth show up in your body, or how do you experience truth? And there's no right or wrong because we're all doing this for ourselves. Mm. 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 And maybe this one even needs time to simmer. Because it takes some practice and some remembering, some exploring, even knowing words like, is is there a space or a home? Does it feel floaty? Does it feel anchored? Does it have a direction or a texture? And maybe you're not there, and maybe you just said, because I know. And that's wonderfully, wonderfully welcomed too. Mm. I think ways to begin to string together healing this doubt, working with and being with the things that are showing up helps us find our truth. And I think this is done in the small, little, tiny moments of making choices. We forget we have so much choice. And if we If we have made our way this far in the world, uh, we have definitely probably encountered times when we've made good choices and we've made not so great choices, or choices we love, choices we've regretted. And if we have made it this far in the world, we have likely we've been through some shit. And I think making the little choices that we can start to string to one pearl on the string, and then another experience and another pearl on, until we begin to make an entire necklace of experiences. And so examples could be the littlest things that we have to remember and reteach ourselves of, you know, I would like to go to the bathroom. Okay. My body sends a signal and I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to just do that. All the times that we ignore our body cues for the sake of someone else's comfort, or for manners, because it's not ladylike to let a big old burp out in a restaurant, or like whatever the thing is, but the suppression of these body cues asks us to just ignore and say, don't do that. And then we go, I actually don't, we're making a choice, but we actually are not making a conscious choice, right? So I think being with the body cues is really an important practice. And honestly, kind of liberating the more you get into it, to just be like, here I am, and I'm going to just choose that. And I can tell you, I use the bathroom as an example of being someone who worked in healthcare for almost 20 years. I missed many a meal and many of potty breaks because I just couldn't. And maybe I actually couldn't, but also I was choosing to put that later, right? So body cues. Am I hungry? Okay, let's go down that road. Do I want to go to the bathroom? How do I want to move? Do I want to? I had a beautiful client share today about something that they had never done before. And they, instead of apologizing and then apologizing for apologizing and then apologizing about apologizing and apologizing, she's like, I just chose to actually not apologize because I didn't do anything wrong. And I've never done that in my whole entire life. And then I just let it be. And I didn't say anything about it for the whole night to my partner. And everything was okay. Woo! Like, this seems like the smallest of things, but the biggest of celebration is in order, because she did it a little different today. And that's one pearl on the string, right? One pearl on the string. And then she's going to do something totally different again. And then it's going to come back on there. So if you're writing, keeping little thoughts down for yourself, is there something, and we're talking easy things. We don't have to go and like do some earth shattering thing first. We're doing the subtle, we're doing the simple. What could you try different that you think might be okay? That you can begin to rebuild trust with yourself and your body. And it could be as simple as changing the position in your seat right now. Will it be okay? Will the chair still hold me? Will I still be comfortable? I don't know. We have to we have to welcome some curiosity there. So the more that we're rebuilding this contact, these experiences, I think this is where it leads us unto truth. I have no other earth-shattering answers other than to rebuild trust with yourself right now, because you do make good choices. You are here standing today because you've clearly made some good choices. And simple enough to say, I trust you. I don't even really know much about you, and I trust you. So what is getting in the way of trusting yourself to go into the caves of your heart and feeling that sensation of your heart being held against your lungs? And we trust and trust the body. We trust our skin. We trust the boundaries that are already created within us. Thankfully, it's all handled for us, that I'm not like oozing and melting together. And thankfully, the barrier of my skin is working and nothing is oozing out and nothing has exploded. So, all of this is great news today, that I am already a boundaried being. And I can trust that. I can trust that too. So, yeah, hopefully this little chat of just I just wanted to talk about this of how do we tap into truth. And I did write about uniqueness on there, and I will just add briefly on this idea of uniqueness. Oh, there's so many different kind of humans out right now, and many lessons available to us of just observing and hopefully still being curious to go, I would love to know more. uh, but so, right, and if we were to observe in nature the uniqueness of all of the elements that are contained within us, that make us all the way to our cells, that we are so uniquely created, that I am just this weird, freaky balance between air and water. And it's like a gas pedal and a brake. And when I work with it instead of against it, things go okay. And those that are made of great, great amounts of fire that can digest anything and burn up experiences and transform things so wonderfully, from the food that we eat to the experiences that we encounter. That is beautiful. And I think when we can tap back into the connection that we're disconnected from within nature, we can start to observe our own uniqueness. So I'll challenge you with even just looking at trees this week, of there's so many different kinds of trees, to say, well, first just observe and notice what's happening, because when we do that, there's a lot of chatter happening in nature. So it's kind of fun to be with that chatter. But how do I know one tree grabs my attention better than another, right? We always have one that's like, wow, that is a superior tree to this tree. But really just there are things that draw our attention, and they're all so unique from each other. Broken limbs, weird roots that are all tangled, different shapes of leaves, different birds living in different trees. So really, I think going bigger and outside of us helps us pull in and also know I am also so uniquely created, that without going on, this isn't a diet culture talk, but this is a teaching I love to use of I am unique and this is my makeup, and that's it. Period. And the rest is chitta, the rest is brain stuff, right? So yeah. All right. I'll create just a short space here. If anyone wants to share any ahas or ask any questions, I will humbly try to answer. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, thank
think
you.
one of the things that I think one of the things that came up that is just interesting for me is that I feel like to some degree, and I think this is just kind of part of the human experience, like we're always kind of holding a truth and a lie,
Yeah.
like at all times. And I was just recognizing that in my body. For me, I was really leaning into some of the scarcity that I'm feeling right now, traversing new work and financial responsibility, and like the narrative there, the kind of repeated thought is, how am I, how am I don't have enough. Like, I
Mm.
don't have enough to do this or that. And it was so interesting because I do feel like at any given moment, it's like I can feel and I can witness the truth that is happening, which is that I'm safe, I'm
Mhm.
okay, my needs are many of my needs are met. um you know and recognizing that the lies, like typically the urgency behind that, like the preconception of like that something needs to be a certain way, and in any given time they're just always, you know kind of communicating with each other. But what was beautiful is just, when you had asked, where is it, the truth felt very heart centered for
Mhm.
me. Like that felt like the living space was in heart center, and the lie was very much just inhabiting this more cerebral space, like
Uh,
this just, like it was like very just right here, chit
mhm.
chit chit chit,
Yeah.
on and on. So anyways, so that was kind of a beautiful moment for me to just recognize that there was an ability to discern, where that living, like where each was kind of living within my body.
Mm.
So that was pretty cool.
I love that. Love it. Thank you for sharing it. And hopefully now the next time an opportunity creates and this voice gets louder and louder, you can even go, oh, there's some history here. And maybe it just needs some simple comfort. We can even explore, is it fear? Is it what is, it's trying to protect us by organizing things, right? But to also come back and just know, like, this is true. And here I still am, right? And hopefully you can come back to that and revisit and
Yeah,
strengthen you. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, definitely.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Oops, I'm not sure. Danielle, you're making a face. Do you want to talk? No, you don't have to. It's okay. Okay. I can't hear you.
Am I muted or am I allowed to talk now? Can you hear
Now
me?
we can hear you. Let's
There
hear
I am.
all those good truths. Let's hear them.
Wow. This was like super timely for me today. Um, because it's been like you were mentioning, Perry, like with this full moon, like I just basically came out of the underworld. Um, I tried to take my life on my birthday last year, and it's been a very fascinating season. I think a lot of people think of me and they're like, "Oh, you're a lot of love and light." I'm like, actually, I'm get real dark and real existential. My cancer, and I don't know. I just had to like push through certain things. Like my Reiki master is really great at catching me because she also was my counselor to begin with before I became a Reiki gal or whatever you want to say. But when I come in, she'll be like, Danielle, where are you even? I'm like, in the 39th dimension, just anywhere but here right now. Because I am a master dissociator. Um, so like the roving thoughts and seeds I feel were in me. I've been exploring it through like therapy and a lot of other things of recognizing like when you've grown up with like aces or traumas from childhood, and then like dealing with my father having like alcoholism and my mom with like mental health stuff and how it all cross homogenated with like who I became. I was a firstborn who had a younger brother, then I became a middle child through marriage, so it's like I was always trying to like be seen and be heard, and I was always thought of as like the good girl. And my grandpa called me misbehave because he's like, you're a miss and you behave, but I also misbehave. Like I'm always trying to be good for like everyone because if everyone's good, then I'm good. That's I think in the Enneagram, I can't remember which number it is. I'm a peacemaker. Like, I don't stop until everybody's happy, whether I am like on fire or not. Still trying to serve everybody else water. So, like, my roving words are I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. Parts of me are lovable and others are not. I'm so smart, but I'm so dumb because my mom's told me that a lot. Oh, I am so much prettier when I'm skinny. That was a fun one. I'm too sensitive. I've been told all my life I'm too sensitive, and I'm like, well, I'm a Cancer. I don't know how to like not, be that way. So I love the movie I Heart Huckabees, where the thing that comes through is like, how am I not myself? Like, that's how I kind of catch myself. Like, how am I not being myself? Like, who am I trying to be?
Yeah.
And also like the feeling like I know I'm not my thoughts. Like my mind is a real bee and she tells a lot of lies. So many lies. Some of them are my own insecure lies. Other lies are the ones that have been, spoon fed by society or my parents. So I love that you do the work with the body because, when I was younger, I wasn't like an overweight kid until like my parents got divorced. My Mimi would take care of me a lot. She's from the South, so there's a lot of grits and molasses and biscuits and more biscuits and pies and cobblers, fried food. But I also grew up in the culture of like my fifth birthday party was at McDonald's, like, and that was the height of, awesomeness back then. So I developed eating disorders by the time I was 8. And I also had ulcers so bad at 8 that I like went to my parents and I was like, there's a monster inside my belly and it's trying to scratch its way out
Yeah.
because I watched Alien with my dad and I was like, there's something trying to get out of me. So I internalize everything.
Yeah. So
And
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and now I've been trying to like work into the sense because I get like really overwhelmed. I want to fix everything like really fast.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to, focus on nourishment. When I got pregnant with my son Gavin, my firstborn, he's 17 now. I promised myself I wouldn't starve myself anymore. And I've done pretty well until I get like really stressed out. And then it's kind of like a love hate. Like I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna eat everything. And then like to the point of I'm gonna slowly kill myself by not eating for a while and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I just want to not feel my body or my feelings because my feelings are too much for people. And, you know, um, so I've been working at feeling my feelings. I just had a conversation with a friend earlier this morning where I got really triggered and I just hung up on her because I was like, that's my Cancer tactic. Like I can't because I'm gonna say something really mean. But
Mm.
she was like, you don't have to feel all of your feelings. And I'm like, yes, I do need to feel my feelings.
Danny,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I wonder if, there's a lot to this and we can totally explore it together
Mhm.
in JC, but just for tonight and just in this moment, I wonder if there's anywhere within you that just feels neutral or just feels
Mhm.
okay enough. And this could literally be the sensation of your hair. It could be your little
Well, I just modified this new sweater
fat.
dress thing at work.
Huh?
So I'm feeling like really good in my creative flow. And like, I know the difference of like when I'm stuck in the muck.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's like alignment or flow. If something's not flowing and I'm, like trying again and again, like running into a wall, I usually know that things are like out of alignment or something is maybe not meant for now. And I'm like pushing and pushing it to make it just right.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like for me, I can ground for the most part through breath work or like just doing like this goddess pose or like leaning up against a tree. I feel most at home in nature, but then I remember like nature is my body and I am nature.
Yeah. Mm.
But I have to ask myself if I'm in my body even.
Yeah, for sure. And these are good. These just, again, those little steps of this time I did it, and this time I did it, and this time I did it. So keep flowing, Cancer baby. Right?
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just wrap up, but I'm so glad you were here, whether you're on live or whether you're watching later, but upcoming offerings for the fall. I've got a few classes in the works, so I'm excited for that. My 16-week program will be offered both live weekly or self-paced. So the options, and I mentioned that pricing is much different this time because the world is getting weirder by the second and harder. We need to have accessibility to a lot of things. So all of that is available. I am taking one-to-one clients for the fall, and I'm always here just to be a resource. So whatever way we meet together next, I will meet you there. Yay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. All right. Bye, Perry.
Hmm. Hmm.